Hey, what's up? This is Vinny Da Vinci right here on the Corner of Soul with my man, Brino Soul.
mix. You are tuned into the 24 South African Radio Awards Campus of the Year. Vow 88.1. Radio Awards Campus of the Year. Vow 88.1.
What's up? This is Vinny Da Vinci right here on the Corner of Soul with my man, Radio Soul.
You have a right to life. Own your human rights with Vow 88.1. Good times, good music, for good.
Corner of Soul exclusive.
I got something here. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. And yes, this is the Corner of Soul at 10 minutes before 6 o'clock, 10 minutes before closure. And yes, shout out to you that is tuning in. We see you. Good times, good music for good. This is the Guest of My Soul, an hour of non-stop nostalgic house music. So we are paying homage to the purists of deep house and soulful house, as well as those who believe into the quality of vinyl. So 100% of non-stop analog sound. It's naughty. Brought to you by the one and only Hydrualx Maile. Why Hydrualx, bro? You're bringing some Hydrualx on the Corner of Soul.
I get this question all of the time. I'm like,
I want to know.
I think it's self-explanatory. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's mixing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No chive, I must studio no.
Blind. You better look at it. But anyway, you don't want to throw any F-bombs on the Corner of Soul.
Yeah.
On Vow. Brother man, welcome. We've been putting some Hydrualx on the Corner of Soul between 5 and 6 o'clock, man.
Yeah.
So most people know you, or the people that are actually attached to Deep House know you as the person that actually collects underground music. But for someone who has just woken up from a coma and wants to know about Hydrualx Maile, who is Hydrualx Maile?
Oh, Hydro Chapa TP Joe. So that's it.
I can tell.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, music fanatic.
Yeah.
Producer, dropping a single, 26.
What? We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. So, I have range.
Ooh.
I have range.
Mm.
You know. But I actually jumped more, especially on analog, because I was like, you know what, ke batla ho ba a purist right now because
Yes.
ke a o rata music,
Nice,
you
man.
know. Au utlwa no, ke shapa stuff sa no.
Stuff. And you know,
Ke a reka bafethu, so
that's
that's what
one
we're
thing
trying to push.
I envy
Yeah.
about you, because the reason why I called you, you are just in a niche group of DJs who are collecting new music on record. And that's one thing that I promote, especially on the vinyl fraternity. You know, I'm a fan of vinyl. I do not believe into stacking into, one thing. We need to move on with time. And most people do not know Hore, there's music that is still pressed to date. And this is the reason why I had to bring you here. But let's move on. Growing up in Eguruleni.
Yeah, Wattville.
Yes.
Wattville. Mfana
So
wa T.
who are your biggest influencers, man, in the game?
Mbuso.
Ah.
And Tuzi as well.
Oh man.
Yeah, Orla Tuzi. Yeah.
Do the entertainment. Yeah.
Mbuso, as in like the way I started thing and how he branched out and still was able to do another label as well. He was also producing music as well.
True.
So you see, I draw inspiration, you know,
From Mbuso, man.
yeah. Mbuso has, yeah.
And how has the journey been so far?
It's wonderful.
Collecting records?
It's
What are the
wonderful.
challenges?
Challenges, get a gig. Yeah. You'll buy music and then you'll do more, but you know what? At the end of the day, I buy music because I rata.
Yes.
The thing, you know,
Passion
gig or no
before.
gig, ke din tshwena. Music would allow thing. Get like a checker. Every week, every month, what's new? Sorry, one fail. You'll end up having a collection. Like like 2018 or collect.
Wow, man.
You didn't say.
To date, you're still collecting.
I'm still collecting. Hanyani. You don't need to one record, 2 records. If budget the thing, you can go all out. But
a vinyl a day keeps the doctor away.
Precisely.
Now, what's your take on the so-called the return of vinyl?
Hey, okay. I can be political about this. I don't know how to answer Shotzaking. Okay, let me say this. I love Horotaking. People are embracing vinyl. I love it. I love it. I love it. But here's the thing: the people that kept the game alive, I don't think they'll be recognized. And they'll be overshadowed by some people. You know, I'm not gonna say names, but if you are in this game, you know what I'm talking about.
True.
You know what I'm talking about. So waibona hore AI too. I love it hore by embracer, but batho bana ba dula ba pusha vinyl from the get go, from wabona but se ba tlohile go vinyl sa bapala digital.
Yeah.
People were still pushing vinyl.
Preservation.
Yes, sir. As well.
Now,
and I have a second point as well. With that, with the new DJs coming back and whatnot, old DJs coming back, they are coming back. But the thing is now, but they're seeing, you know, because on another time, go pile, but hulela marao. I can't what to maka, but hey, tawatsa or record the records sa khale ba feditse circulating. I'm like, guys, come on, really? Like,
two things.
I just want to see. Now, as a DJ, I do believe as a DJ,
Yes,
you are supposed to teach your audience new music.
yes.
That defines a DJ.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta get this. Come on, let's go.
I think my
go.
take
Yeah,
is strike a balance between
the two. Yes.
old and the new.
Yes.
You entertain
Yeah.
and you educate.
Exactly.
That's the right formula for me. And it works. I do it personally because I'm still a staunch collector of vinyl. So I collect music, whether it's old, whether it's new. So I try to strike a balance because as a DJ, you need to entertain and educate. Yes.
I totally agree.
And speaking of educating, by the way, let's talk about your music. You are a producer.
Yeah.
What are you currently busy with?
Dropping a single, Kisacho. Remix King Schwarz.
When?
Yeah, Nixpanali Biki. The track is called Broken. It's dropping on the 26th of March on all music stores. Right now, it's a exclusive. Okay, Fumanako track source. It's a promo there.
Nice one. Nice
Yeah.
one. So, any producer that you are working with besides King Shorts?
Dave Tempo.
Yeah.
Busy.
Oh yeah, I checked out. I remember when you sent me a promo.
Yes,
man.
yes.
Top quality stuff.
Keep his litapelo. So Dave Tempo, shout out to him. Ke na motho o nthusang haholo-holo, wa bona? Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
quickly, how do we access your music online?
It's on YouTube, it's on Traxsource, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, depending on what platform you're comfortable with. Just type Hydrualx, you'll get everything.
Nice.
Yeah. Like catalog. Yeah.
Now, here's a $1 million question.
All right.
Are we going to see your music pressed on vinyl?
That's what I'm working on.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to say anything.
Give us the give us the timeline. At least, maybe next year, 2027. Who knows?
Little senior. There is something. I'm working on something. I was told not to say anything as well, so I can't divulge. Ask keys. Maybe it's off air, but right now I can't say anything. There is something that we're working on something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'll keep you aware onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hydrualx. Love you lots, man.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. So how do we actually get hold of you online? On socials? Yeah.
Socials, Hydrualx Maile. Go Facebook, on Instagram, it's Hydrualx_SA. And then obviously if you want to email me, it's hydrualx@gmail.com. Plain and simple. I don't know the phone number, guys. Go 0 fail. Yeah.
Brother man.
Sharp with you.
Yeah, shout out to you, man. Thank you very much for coming through. Thank you very much for, honoring the invite. I'm so grateful. I'm such a huge supporter of your collection. And there's a friend of mine who actually sent a message. He says, "Aye, Hydrualx uyabeka. I better contact you."
Obviously.
Yeah. So we love you lots, man. If you want to come back again, feel free anytime. You are inducted to the Corner of Soul.
Thank you.
That was the one and only Hydrualx Maile on Facebook. Find him on socials. Check his music on Traxsource. So yeah, we've come to the end of the show. Shout out to you that has been tuning in. We see you. The support is magnificent. From me, myself, and I, Kretas was on your radio.
This is Corner of Soul.
Music is defined in different forms, but house music is defined the China way. Ladies and gentlemen, DJ China is in the building. Let's show love to Chino Best. Looking at the landscape of deep house music, yes, do you think the scene has achieved the objectives within, the reception and how people perceive house music?
Reluctantly, I'm going to say no. Simply because I know that we can do more. People have not seen the best of us. We can do more. All that's missing is just the unity. If Bruno has this kind of show, let's support Bruno. Let's come here, Let it not be a chore for me coming here or for anyone for that matter, because we are working for the greater good.